Time check for you 19 hours 20, 99.1 and 99.5 FM. It's a great Wednesday. And of course, we are happy that you can join us this evening as we continue our conversation to tell it as it is. Uh, Man in a very fancy color. I'm not going to bite off my tongue to call the color tonight, sir. Namaste. The floor is yours. And how are you this evening?
Pretty much fine.
All right.
I don't know about you guys. I am a happy soul tonight. And I'm happy all because of that last night. My heart was full of joy. And it is even much more tonight. You know, I really feel at ease. A lot of pain came off just having that discussion with our vice president last night. Before we get going with tonight's program, as usual, let me say a very special namaste to each and every one of you joining me here tonight. I just want to let you know that I love each and every one of you, and I want to thank you for joining me every Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday on this program. I would like all of you to share this program. If you do believe in this program and what I'm saying, I'd like you to share them with your neighbors, your friends, colleagues, and everyone. It's sad where our country is with all this wealth, and I do believe unless we share and try to enlighten and educate this Guyanese community or society, we are not going to get anywhere with these politicians. I want to say, Josh, for those of you who missed this special program last night, myself and Vice President Bharat Jagdev spent 2 hours on this radio station discussing a range of issues, including the management and what is there for us in this US $1 trillion oil and gas sector. A number of simple, straightforward questions were posed to him by me, in which he responded to. Uncle and Auntie, knowing how our Vice President always liked to go round and round in circles, I tried to get in all the questions I prepared for him without any rebuttal, to cause a confrontation or give him the opportunity to use up the time in which I could have only asked a limited number of questions. Our Vice President came to the radio station with a lot of pain and hidden anger that he wanted to take out on me. After all, Josh, the man right. Glenn Kande cussing this man every day, exposing his weaknesses, inability and incompetence, making him look bad. And when he gets a chance to let go on him, you expect him to behave like a priest. No, man, no. And that was okay with me last night. I took it in good stride, and I want him to know it's part of the price we pay, or Glenn has to pay for speaking the truth. From the inception, I knew Guyana was in a very dark tunnel with this ExxonMobil deal. And I know plenty of you feel, and by now would have come to the conclusion that yes, Guyana is in a dark tunnel where this ExxonMobil deal is concerned. And the answers our Vice President gave last night, Uncle and Auntie, confirm all my fears. tonight, I want to tell you that I can only turn on the lights in the tunnel for you people. That's all I can do. I cannot lead you out of the tunnel. You have to make that choice whether you want to stay in darkness or come towards light. The light I'm talking about. The true light. The truth. The truth rather than lies and darkness. You got to make that choice. The answers our Vice President gave during that one-on-one interview, Uncle and Auntie, was crystal clear in whose interests he's looking out for. And you can bet your last dollar that he's not working for me and you. Tonight, I will play some of the questions I posed to him. You will listen to his answers, and of course, I will respond. Like I said, I did not want to get into any confrontation or tit for tat last night with him. Had I done that, most of the questions I had prepared would have never seen the light of the day, or maybe the moonlight. It would have never. As such, some critics were unhappy with the leeway I give our Vice President. I was very happy. I want to say this, I was very happy because I know I would have had my time, my own time to respond, and it begins tonight. Let's get the ball rolling with the first question I posed to our Vice President last night. I said to him, when the Exxon production sharing contract was first made public under the APNU AFC government, you were highly critical of the contract. Do you still share those criticisms of the contract, sir? And I will now play that first clip for you guys to hear him. Please. When the Exxon production sharing contract was first made public under the coalition government, you were highly critical of the contract. Do you still share those criticisms of the contract?
I do.
Thank you.
I do.
My second...
And I will tell you now why I maintain the position that the contract is lopsided. We identified several areas. One, the total take for the Guyanese public. We believe that when the contract was renegotiated by Trotman, that we already had 3 billion barrels of proven resources in the ground. And that opportunity should have been used to not to weaken the contract, but the 1999 contract, but to add benefits to it. The contract, if you look at Global Witness report, how the contract was negotiated, it was drafted by Exxon, sent to the government. I don't know what internal process it went through, but it was signed by Trotman almost overnight, contrary to public advice. And I said there are some elements that we are very unhappy with. And I outlined what the elements were.
Thank you.
I don't want to go into the details of that, but we maintain that the contract is lopsided. And we also said consistently in opposition that we will not renegotiate the contract. We will ensure that we have better contract administration. If we fail to have better contract administration and there was no room for that, then we'll take a harder line.
Thank you so much, sir, for that answer. Bernard, I love technology, you know. I love today's technology, auntie and uncle. All of you have to love today's technology. He said they never promised to renegotiate the contract. That's not a lie. That's a huge lie. The last line in their 2020 manifesto that is posted up on to the downstairs of Freedom House. Downstairs of Freedom House, a poster post up there that says, better management / renegotiation of oil contracts to benefit all Guyanese. Uncle and Auntie, for those of you who are joining us on Facebook or YouTube, that poster is on the screen. Please look at it. I have a photograph to show you that took out today. Today. It's still posted there on to today. So when he said they never promised renegotiation, those were the words on that was the last line on the poster in Freedom House today. Better management / renegotiation of all oil contracts to benefit all Guyanese. Can you see it there? It's there? It's there?
Yes.
Thank you. And to reinforce that big lie, here is President Ali himself speaking about renegotiation. That dreaded word they all running away from, like Dracula running away from sunlight, uncle. Please play President Ali's.
The oil contract. Do you agree with the 55 billion signed away global witness report? And will you revisit the oil contract?
We have made it very clear, but we can never agree. How can, I don't think any Guyanese agree with this. No Guyanese, except the government that is defending it. We have made it very clear that we have to go towards relooking at these contracts, renegotiating these contracts, looking at contract management, and all of these things. Everything we have to relook at, because we have to ensure that our country does not get the wrong end of the stick.
So everything is on the table for review as it relates to oil contracts.
Yes, review and renegotiate.
Review and renegotiate comes from the president of Guyana mouth. You heard him there. And President Ali, Vice President Ali is telling us they never promised renegotiation of contract. You heard him. He said Trotman should not have weakened the 1999 contract signed by the PPP, but strengthen it and get more benefits in 2016 because ExxonMobil had declared 3 billion barrels of proven reserves. Yes, you heard him. He also said that ExxonMobil prepared a contract and Trotman signed it almost overnight. Yep. He maintains the contract is lopsided, and he has identified several areas, one of which is the total take for the Guyanese people, and other elements which he doesn't want to go into with details. Later in the conversation, uncle, you guys will hear the spin and merry-go-round he's throwing this country into. My second question to him last night, Mr. Vice President, let us suppose you were in government during the time when the contract was being negotiated. What would you have done differently from what the coalition government did? Could I play that tape and let the people hear him, please? Let us suppose you were in government during the time when the contract was being negotiated. What would you have done differently from what the coalition government did?
Well, it's a greater share of. There are some areas that we have issues with. We have issues with taxation. Even now, we have a dispute with Exxon about vehicles. They wanted to bring in 20 SUVs, and we said that's not covered by the agreement. You have to pay taxes on those. That it's not a blanket concession. But the elements are taxation, ring fencing, the size of the royalty. These are the key elements.
That's it?
Key elements, yeah.
Key elements. Thank you. Uncle, he said, we have issues with taxation, ring fencing, and the size of the royalty. These are the key elements he concerns over. Yes, you heard him. He said he has issues over taxation. And when he was asked about my court case, this is what he said. Listen to him carefully, and you will decide if he really has issued with ExxonMobil not paying taxes in this country. Could you please play that other tape for them to listen? Let me ask this question. What would be your reaction if I am to win the pending tax case I brought against the state and ExxonMobil?
Well, if
that is not my question. That question was sent to me by a Canadian.
yeah,
To you.
but I'm not dealing with hypotheticals. We'll cross that bridge when we can't get there.
You don't have a reaction? As to
No.
whether
I
shall win
will cross the bridge when we get there.
that?
Yeah.
All right. So then, whose side you on? You
Yeah.
on my side or you on the other side?
I'm not on any side at this time.
Sure?
I'm not on any side.
I love the answer.
Yes.
Play back that thing for me, please. Hear him? Let me ask this question. What would be your reaction if I am to win the pending tax case I brought against the state and ExxonMobil?
Well, if
That is not my question. That question was sent to me by a Canadian.
yeah,
To you.
but I'm not dealing with hypotheticals. We'll cross that bridge when we can't get there.
You don't have a reaction? As to
No.
whether shall win
I
that?
will cross the bridge when we get there. Yeah.
All right. So then, whose side you on? You
Yeah.
on my side or you on the other side?
I'm not on any side at this time.
Sure?
I'm not on any side.
I love the answer.
Yes.
Laughing. That question is a joke. This man just said one of the issues he has in the contract is taxation. And I asked him what would be his reaction if I win the tax case against ExxonMobil. What he said, Joshua? I am not dealing with hypotheticals.
When you reach that bridge, you'll cross it.
We will cross that bridge when we get there. Then I asked him, whose side is he on? He responded, I am not on anybody's side at this time. Does that answer tell us a story, Uncle?
It should.
This vice president really got a taxation issue with the contract? Huh? Like I said, I can only turn on the lights in the tunnel. I can't lead you out of it. You have to want to come out that darkness you guys in. Let's turn to another question. That I ask him, if you were the one negotiating the 2016 contract, what royalty rates you would have settled for? Yes. What royalty rates? Listen how he dances around and dodges that simple, straightforward question. What royalty rate you would have asked for if you were in Tratman's place in 2016? I want you to play that tape for the people to hear him. May I just stop you, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Not the new model. I am asking a question. Were you there negotiating the 2016 contract?
Yes.
What royalty rate
So-
you would have asked for?
So that is precisely what I'm answering.
Okay.
We are currently working on a new PSA. We, as a collective, not the individual Jagdeo, but as a collective, I told you that there are 3 variables that we are utilizing to see how that will govern the new PSA. The first has to do with the company's legitimate expectation that if they invest money, they should get a decent return on their investment. 2, leaving in the new PSA enough incentives to accelerate exploration and production. And 3, a greater share of the benefits for the government. So what we're currently working on, the discussion paper that would have to be completed soon as part of the auction that we had launched later this month. We hope that we can launch it, but it will run for several months and conclude in maybe January, February next year. So the auction would be launched. We have to now have a new PSA to tell people what they're going to get if they come in on this auction. So that's where we have now looked, we've started the study where we are looking at the spectrum on take by different countries. So some countries are on the lower end, and countries like Norway and others, they could get as much as 75% of the total take. Right now, we are getting just over 50% of the total take. So where we move from between 50, 52, 59, whatever you define it as, moving to a higher point will be determined by those variables, how we settle those variables. And then through a combination of adjustments on royalty, maybe profit sharing, and the taxes, we will achieve that.
Thank you.
So this is, I'm just explaining to you, and one thing, Glenn, we need to get clear. The reason I do some of this, because I want people to understand what we're thinking. Many times you're critical of the PPP government, but you've never had Granger, or Granger will never come, or Nagamoto when he was Prime Minister, or Trotman, one day to explain what the thinking was and what they're working on. And I want to take you a bet that the current leader of the opposition will not do this now, come here and sit down and tell you in great detail, because I've seen your attempts to ask him some specific questions and he goes back to general. They will never come and explain this. They will never do that. What I've just told you there, that's the thinking in government. So if I say royalty, well, you should have had a 5% royalty tonight. I'm preempting the discussion, the collective discussion that the cabinet would have. But that is a discussion that has to be had and settled before the end of the year.
Thank you, sir. My question was, what royalty rate you would have asked for negotiating the 2016 contract?
Yeah.
I didn't get an answer for that.
No. I'm just telling you what
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Sure.
Wow. Simple question I asked. What royalty rate you would have asked for if you were in Trotman's place in 2016? The man carry me round the world and bring me back and still didn't answer that simple, straightforward question. But ended up blaming the opposition, asking me why I don't try to get them to come on this program. Wow. Let me ask a simple question. What the opposition has to do with such a simple question? Huh? 3 times I interrupted him and told him that he is not answering my question. He went on to talk about cabinet. He says, I am preempting him. He can't talk about it. Cabinet have to discuss it. What cabinet, uncle, has to do with Lall asking him a simple question as to what royalty rates he would have demanded from ExxonMobil had he been the one negotiating the Trackman contract. You want to tell me 6 years and the ex-president of this country, now the vice president of this land, heading this oil sector, this financial guru hasn't come up in his mind what royalty Guyana should have gotten as a reasonable share, man? Huh? Somebody pulling my leg under the table. Or am I feeling dizzy, man? Huh? Something in the radio room? You people serious? Really? You still got to go to cabinet to determine what royalty rates Guyana need for the new contracts too? After all this ruckus that going on in this country about this ExxonMobil deal? Come on, Guyana. No, man, don't do this to yourself. Don't do this to yourself. Like I said, I can only turn on the lights for you people in the dark tunnel. Please open your eyes and come out of that darkness. He finished without answering that question. This is the vice president y'all have running this US $1 trillion oil industry. Like I said again, I can only turn on the lights in the tunnel. I can't hold your hands and lead you out. Please, please. This man begins by saying it's a lopsided contract that they would have never signed on to. In his own words, you heard him speak about ring fencing, taxation, and royalty. And here we are, 2 years into his leadership, he is still ashamed to tell this nation what percentage of royalty he would have negotiated for when he cussing the coalition for that same contract. You really believe, Bernard, you really believe the cuss is coming from his heart?
Hell no.
Huh? I don't think so. I think he's the biggest supporter of that lopsided contract. That is a noose around the necks of every Guyanese in this country, bro.
Definitely.
Well, let's move on. Let's move on to another question. I asked him what percentage of profit sharing he would have negotiated for Guyana in that same 2016 contract Trackman signed. I want you listen, uncle and auntie, listen carefully to him again and tell me if he answered that simple question I asked. Could we play that tape again, please? Let's move on. Let's move on.
Sure.
What percentage of profit sharing would you have been, in your mind, would have been fair to the Guyanese people in the same 2016?
Yes, but
contract?
I just explained all of this. It's derived from where you start. What is the total take you want? If it's 52% or 60% of the proceeds, then you adjust each variable. You can still keep the royalty at 2% and take it on the taxes, or lower the taxes, keep the taxes where they are and take a higher royalty and achieve the same purpose. So it is not, it is like you're asking me now a question that where we want to be ultimately.
Where you would have been.
I believe that the country should be getting a higher take. That is, but that has to be through a combination of variables. But I'm not gonna, like tonight, say 25%. This has to be done by the technical people.
No, my question is 2016 contract
Yeah.
that you criticize. My question, what percentage of profit sharing and royalty would have been reasonable in your mind?
Yes.
That's
right.
something already gone. Hey, hello, uncle. You see what a joy I have in my heart tonight? And last night, as he was speaking, I could have only smiled. You know, I could have only smiled as he was speaking last night. The only answer he gave dear uncle was that he believed the country should have a bigger take, bigger share. He didn't put a figure. And let me ask all Guyana this. Has he done anything so far to increase the profit share with ExxonMobil? Huh? And let's move on to the next question, please. I asked him if ExxonMobil should be walking away without paying any taxes. And if he agreed that Guyana pays the taxes for the oil companies. Please, Uncle and Auntie, again, simple question. Listen to the head of this US $1 trillion oil sector we have in this country. Listen to him carefully. Simple questions. Please, go ahead.
Well,
Let's move on to this. One second.
So,
what about taxes?
yes.
Should the coalition have demanded the payment of corporation taxes, and should we be paying the taxes for the oil companies?
But again, taxes, if you agree that we will get 50% of the profit oil, which is part of the legislation, and then 2% royalty, and that's the total take. If you increase taxes, then you have to go for a higher take. So it's all derived from what the ultimate, where you want to ultimately be. So if you say 60%, that should be the total 60-40 split of the proceeds, then you can do it, achieve that through different measures. You can achieve it through either higher royalty and leaving the taxes the same way, give them all the tax approvals, or give them, demand more taxes and leave the royalty at 2%, or a combination of the two, or change the profit sharing formula. So these are all derived things, and that's why it's more complex than just saying, oh, it has to be this. So when people say...
Sir, one second.
Yeah, sure.
My question is very simple to you. Should the coalition have demanded the payment of corporation taxes? And should we be paying the oil company taxes? Simple.
No, but the thing is that if you charge corporate tax now on it, frankly
my
speaking,
question is
frankly, no.
That's my question.
I don't think,
Thank you.
Personally, I do not think
Thank you.
that corporate tax, we have given corporate tax waiver to almost every, in bauxite industry, in almost every sector. So if you demand corporate tax payment now, then, and a third, maybe 28%, what would that have resulted in? It would probably resulted in maybe a 60% share or something like that. I don't know what the number is.
Can we let's move on. would you have agreed to all those concessions which were granted to the oil companies?
Now,
Well, I'm
in
talking about the
2015,
2016 contract that the
and we
coalition
may-
government signed.
we may
I am
ver-
asking you about what the coalition government signed on
Let
to.
me tell you.
You said you
Yes.
totally disagree. It's a bad deal. I'm
Yes.
asking you, simple, if you would have agreed to all these things that were granted to the oil companies.
I would have sought a higher
Thank
share.
you. Thank you.
A higher share, but I don't.
Please, you made a slight error there. Uncle, that's another question. He went on to talk and they didn't cut it right. So I apologize for that. Let's deal with the question I asked him. Twice I had asked him to answer a simple question whether ExxonMobil should be walking away without paying taxes in this country. And if Guyana should be paying their share of taxes out of we profits. In short, you listen to him there. Everything he said there, he's in support of Trotman's lopsided contract to have ExxonMobil walk away with everything without paying any taxes. Oil companies that making money, more money than God Almighty, and not Glenn Lall saying that. The President of the United States, Mr. Joseph Biden, said that, is not paying taxes in this country. Could you believe that? When a security guard, uncle, a man who cleaning the drains, a teacher, a nurse, a police officer have to pay every single cent taxes. Is this real? What we're witnessing in this land today? Your uncle? That you have an oil company that's making more money than God Almighty. And you ask a president, a vice president running the sector, if it is fair for them not to pay taxes. And we pay their taxes out of our little profit. Is that fair, man? If a Guyanese, if me or you pick up an ounce of gold in the back dam, we got to pay a fair amount of royalties and taxes. Even a Guyanese working on the oil ship out there, pulling up the oil, has to pay their fair share of taxes. Man, you want to tell me these Guyanese, we Guyanese who own the oil, have to pay their fair share of taxes, and the foreigners who fetching it away free, it's okay to walk away without paying any taxes, man? Huh? Wow. Do I still need to turn on the lights and hold your hands to walk you out of this dark tunnel, Uncle and Auntie? Then he ended by saying, I can't say that because it could have been through several measures. It could have been leaving the taxes, all the taxes intact, and as they now have, and increase the royalty rate, or alternately maybe charging the lower royalty rate and not giving all the tax benefits that they got. But the end result would have been a greater share of taxes or profits to the Guyanese people. You know, I am so tired of listening to this thing, just play back that tape for me, man. Just play back, let the people hear him back again. Let's move on to this. What about taxes?
Yes.
Should the coalition have demanded the payment of corporation taxes, and should we be paying the taxes for the oil companies?
But again, taxes, if you agree that we will get 50% of the profit oil, which is part of the legislation, and then 2% royalty, and that's the total take. If you increase taxes then you have to go for a higher take. So it's all derived from what the ultimate, where you want to ultimately be. So if you say 60%, that should be the total 60-40 split of the proceeds, then you can do it, achieve that through different measures. You can achieve it through either higher royalty and leaving the taxes the same way, give them all the tax approvals, or give them, demand more taxes and leave the royalty at 2%, or a combination of the two, or change the profit sharing formula. So these are all derived things, and that's why it's more complex than just saying, oh, it has to be this. So when people say...
Sir, one second.
Yeah, sure.
My question is very simple to you. Should the coalition have demanded the payment of corporation taxes? And should we be paying the oil company taxes? Simple.
No, but the thing is that if you charge corporate tax now on it, frankly
my
speaking...
question is, should have...
Frankly, no.
That's my question.
I don't think...
Thank you.
Personally, I do not think
Thank you.
that corporate tax... We have done...
Thank you.
We have given corporate tax waiver to almost every, in bauxite industry, in almost every sector. So if you demand corporate tax payment now, then, and a third, maybe 28%, what would that have resulted in? It will probably resulted in maybe a 60% share or something like that. I don't know what the number is.
Can we let's move on. Would you have agreed to all this? Just hold. Uncle and Auntie, is what game this man playing on a simple, straightforward question? Why ExxonMobil should be allowed to walk away with paying taxes? You people understand anything he said there? You people understand what he said there? Bernard, did you understand what the man trying to tell this nation there?
Not at all.
Could we play the next question that I asked him, please? What about ring fencing, sir?
Yes, there would have been...
Would you have made that a priority if
Right.
you were there negotiating the 2016 contract?
Ring fencing would have been adjusted, but I said to what extent, I can't say tonight, but that is one of the things that would have been adjusted.
Oh, you have another tape? Play it, please. Ring fencing. Ring fencing. Uncle, would you have made that a priority? Would you have made that a priority? Could you play back that thing for me, please? I want to play back that piece of tape.
What he just...
What about ring fencing, sir?
Yes, there would have been...
Would you have made that a priority
Right.
if you were there negotiating the 2016 contract?
Ring fencing would have been adjusted, but I said to what extent, I can't say tonight, but that is one of the things that would have been adjusted.
What a Guyana we have here. What a Guyana we have here. Ring fencing, uncle. Would you have made that a priority? What he said? Ring fencing, uncle, would have been adjusted, but I can't say to what extent tonight. But that was one of the things that would have been adjusted had he been there. I want to end tonight's program, Uncle and Auntie. Yes, I want to end it by telling all of you the two most important aspects of this oil sector to secure our benefits, our livelihood, our future is bent on checking and verifying all costs whatsoever. And that two words That two words called ring fencing. Uncle, my gosh. Without ring fencing, uncle, and verifying those costs out there, Guyana is doomed. Guyana is doomed. I will continue this program on Friday for you to hear much more of the games this vice president is playing that puts Guyana's present and future generations in real danger, extreme danger. You heard I asked him what he would have done if he was in Trotman's place, what royalty rates he would have seek for Guyana. He couldn't give us an answer. But they've been cussing, since he was in opposition, he'd been cussing the coalition government about this bad deal. He couldn't answer that. I asked him what percentage of profit share he would have eked out for Guyana. He danced all over the place and could not answer. We talked about ring fencing. He said that would have been a priority, but he doesn't have an answer for that too. And I talked about many other things that last night that you would hear him and the answers he gave and how he gave it. But this is your vice president. And like I said, I didn't want not to pick up the topic of last night tonight and give you guys a rebroadcast. I wanted to give you a little taste of what he said and let you see the danger that Guyana faces. You know, after that program last night, we had a cordial discussion over coffee in my office. Apart from the vice president and myself, there were others in the office, a minister and others. Lo and behold, someone sent me a photo with a caption that said, Jagdale School Glen Lall on his blackboard. I find that private moment and discussion reaching on Facebook with half-truth, very disrespectful and distasteful, my friend. The picture shows Vice President writing on my blackboard and Glen Lall watching. Can you put a picture up if you have it? Put it there. What I didn't put out was the picture in which I was responding on the blackboard to the Vice President, and he was looking on. Nevertheless, it's all in the game. Yep. And I am would never be too big to learn something. Whether who teaches me. I believe knowledge is wealth, and the fool that put it up should have taken notice and learned something rather than put something like that on the internet. It appeared on that Clown page. He was with us too. And before I say good night and God bless you guys, let me share this with you. A Facebook page, someone made a comment, a critique, and say Glenn is a dunce, and spell the dunce D-I-N-C-E. I couldn't help crack up. Glenn is a D-I-N-C-E. And someone responded to the individual and said, before you study Glenn, you should study the dictionary. With that, I say namaste once again. Good night and God bless. Until Friday, God spare life. I'm going to take 2 or 3 phone calls and call it a day. Thanks for listening.
All right.
Good.
99.1,
I love it.
99.5 FM. This is the Glenn Lall Show.
I love it.
Where we tell it as it is. 226-745-324.
I love it.
622-2222 and 624-6456. Those are the numbers you can call us tonight to air your
Yeah.
concerns or any
Bernard?
questions you might have.
Bernard, you want to say anything?
Yes.
You know-
Good night, all.
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to state for the record, right? The misinformation that certain people peddle, it's unbelievable. If you head in the sector and you peddle misinformation, Guyana receives no taxes from ExxonMobil, none whatsoever, right? And the total take Guyana gets is nowhere near 50%. The total take Guyana gets is 2% royalty and 12.5% total take, which equals at most 14.5%. Right? These economic gurus that we have cannot even add 2 plus 4, 12.5. 2 plus 12 could never be 52 or 59 or 60 or whatever. We are getting 40.5%, which is the lowest in the world. And is that atrocious contract that Trotman signed that you disagreed with, but you're doing nothing to change?
Thank you. Thank you. Just hold a moment. I'm getting some phone calls here that I want to take it. Yes. Good evening. You're live on the Glenn Lall Show.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mr. Love.
Good night.
I was listening to your program with the VP. He constantly mentioned you're lying to the nation. I just would like you to clear that up for all Guyanese. Also, in the closing, I personally think that the VP came on your program to condemn your magnificent work because Guyanese are realizing and waking up. So he came there to put us back in a coma. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Try to, exactly.
Well, he would try to do anything possible to curtail the critic. I've been exposing him. I've been exposing the government. I've been exposing the coalition party, and they all, you cannot expect good from them where Glenn Lall is concerned. I am their biggest enemy. And I would continue to be their biggest enemy once I speak the truth. Truth always offend and hurt people. Mm-hmm. So I was not surprised at the vice president response and behavior last night. But thanks for looking out. And I'm happy that you people are listening and watching and at the same time learning. Good evening, you're live on the air.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Lall.
Good evening.
First of all, I just want to give my observation after listening to the program last night. I think in future what you should do is invite a technocrat to speak with Mr. Javier when he comes back next time, because all I think he was trying to do is just to spin the whole thing out. Because I still can't understand the logic behind not charging the company taxes. I still can't understand the logic, the reason he gave for that. So
Well,
I think it just came to do some spin back then.
One second, hold. That's a nice point you raise. The question I asked him, if he was sitting where Trotman was sitting in 2016, would he have allowed ExxonMobil to walk away with the taxes and have Guyana pay their taxes out of our share? And then he went on to talk. That's a very simple question. He didn't answer the question. So I'm glad that you have raised the issue, because it seems that you two didn't capture my question as to the answer the man gave. The man did not answer my question. He went around in circle.
Yeah, and next thing too that you gotta be very watchful of. Listen, why it is that you got this big industry that which we are, we're not schooled, or we don't know this industry properly. We're babies in this industry.
Precisely.
Why have you torn away people like Jan Mangal, Melinda Janki? These people are very well educated and very well informed people. Why is it that you're so serious about the industry and you're doing all the good about the industry? Why not bring these people and put them there?
My friend, anybody that criticizes ExxonMobil or criticizes the way they are handling, and this is not the government alone, this is the opposition. They don't want to hear anything. They are very silent and low-key when it comes to this oil sector in this country. And you have to read through the line why they are all silent on this issue. You think, look, Vincent Alexander, right? He was chased out. You know, there are many people who are willing to help, guide, and put them on the right direction, including myself. Look the kind of work that I'm doing. Edifying, educating this nation every Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday on the little that I know. My staff of the Kaieteur News is doing a fantastic job daily in the newspapers. Kiana Wilberg, I can call her name because I am proud of her. She has been doing a fantastic job.
I would love to try to establish, if it's possible, an audience with the big dictionaries like Webster and all those dictionaries. So when you see journalism, you put Miss Wahlberg at the bottom, you know? Not that man who has a problem with his hair, that troll, who always trolling. Right? He's not a journalist.
I hear you.
That man who thinks he's a journalist is not a journalist, he's a troll.
I hear you.
Disinformation troll.
I hear
That's
you.
what he is.
I hear you, but you talked about,
right.
1 second, you talked about having a technocrat next to me. I don't need a technocrat next to me, my friend. My questions, if you listen to them, if you listen to the program.
I know it's sung, but you see the thing about
Not only sung. My 10-year-old, 1 second, my 10-year-old granddaughter would be able to give a straightforward question to the answer to the question I asked him here.
Mr. Lall, let me tell you this before I go. I don't want to take up your program, but let me tell you this before I go. And for all those who are listening, listen. I'm a very well intelligent person, and I'm going to tell you something here and now. Listen. You are a highly intelligent person. You might not be educated with degrees, but you're intelligent. So nobody could take you to school. Of course, we all can learn. Education is a process.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, you were able to see between the lines. You were able to analyze things. You were able to understand things, which are complex. So you are intelligent. You might not be educated with degrees.
Thank you.
But don't get it twisted, because there are a lot of people who got a lot of degrees and they can't even provide for themselves properly.
You know,
right?
Thank you.
So I want to leave a quotation with you from Marcus Tullius Cicero, a Roman philosopher. He said, education without natural ability, and natural ability without education has often raised a man to glory and virtue than education without natural ability. So them who think they could laugh at you, they're fools, because you're 10 times more intelligent than them. I listen to you every time, and you're a very intelligent person, and keep up the good work.
You made my night. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You made my night. And let me say this. A few people called me before the program and said, Glenn, you're not going to manage the vice president. And I'm going to tell you what I said to all of them that called me. I said that, Glenn Lall, the little that I know, I can handle ExxonMobil, 10 Barajagdale, and 10 Norton, all together in a room. Yes, and that how I feel in my mind, body, and soul. I can manage them. I can handle them. I was telling you guys how proud I am with one of my journalists who bends her body, her back and mind on this oil sector. And she too, I believe in my heart, all of them can't make her any fool. So I thank you for the compliment anyway. You know, Bernard, I don't know when the culture of this country will change, but I am beginning to smell, I am beginning to feel changes in this land. I know that the Kaieteur News, the paper, and this program is making inroads into the minds and hearts of the Guyanese people. I know we are educating them as to what's going on, and we will continue to do that without fear or favor. Good evening, sir. You're live.
Mr. Glenlaw,
Yes?
I don't know how much more I could contribute tonight to those callers that compliment you to what you did last night. You hold your composure, and you did well, my brother.
Thank you.
But I could say this. Mrs. Obama said, when they go low, you go high. Remember that. When they go low, you go high. So you stay high, my brother, and let him continue go low, because they're all going to hit the ditch. If you looked at the history of both of them, him and the president, every time they don't like what they hear, they bring you down. They try to bring you into the gutters, but you stay high. Good night.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, my friend. Thank you. I love that. Yes, Michelle Obama said, when they go low, when they go low, you go high. I love that. I love that. Do we have any other call? I saw somebody else were calling me, and I wanted to take it. But the culture, back to the culture. Bernard, I don't know when this culture, how fast, I know changes are on its way, but I don't know how fast it will come. You know, when you look at what's going on in this oil sector in this land with these people, and the silence, Uncle and Auntie, the silence. Last night, our Vice President talked twice on auctioning of oil blocks, how he's ready to auction the oil blocks, and he was questioning me if I believe that Guyanese should own oil blocks. Uncle and Auntie, I didn't want to answer him, and I didn't want to speak about that tonight too. But let me say this. This auctioning of oil blocks that he boasting and the talking every day about, I think the Guyana Chronicle carried lead story today, is a few little fine pieces of blocks he have left, and this and all they're going to give away and sell out. That is not what Guyana needs to hear at this moment, Auntie. What Guyana needs to hear is what we are going to get from what we already give out. That is where I want you people to focus. Keep your eyes, your ears, and your minds open to the Stabroek block. 600 oil blocks they're sitting on there that is illegally given to them. The law says only 60 and they have 600. That has all the oil inside. Billions of barrels of oil inside. Focus there. Don't let Jagdev or Ali or Norton distract you with oil blocks going on auction tomorrow. Don't let them, please. Keep focus on the Stabroek oil block with ExxonMobil, CNOOC, and Hess. What they're doing to us there. That is our future, that is our present, and that's our livelihood. If we don't have any other call, may I say good night. God bless you guys, and I see you guys on Friday. Have a great evening.